Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So, speaking is usually not my gig. You know, when I grew up, I played a lot of sports, and I was super fast, and so they had me in a kickoff return. So it was always one of those positions. It's like, you know, the drums are running and everything, and then the ball's in the air, and you catch the ball, and then it just all goes black, and then you're off. Game started. You know the deal. And so that's kind of like what it's like speaking. So my story is why I'm here. 5 years ago, I was working, and I got a sinus infection that basically went to my heart. And your body wants to naturally heal itself, and so what happened is the heart starts getting bigger and swelling until it can't fix itself anymore. And so then what happened was, in 45 days, I went to KU, and automatically it was code blue, and they get me down there and they say, yeah, your heart, your ejection fraction's at 10%. We gotta run some tests. The only way we can keep you alive is if we put an LVAD in you. We're like, what's an LVAD? It's a pump for your heart that'll keep you alive. No pulse, no heartbeat, just blood flow to keep your organs alive. And I said, you know, I've got 3 kids. At that time, they were, you know, very young. They're 12, 15, and 17. So, you know, a lot of life to live for. And, you know, at 40 years old, you don't think that a sinus infection is going to turn into a life or death situation. And so that's exactly what happened. And so then I was the first person at KU to get the HeartMate 3, which is the LVAD. And so I've done everything I could in this process, is to help, you know, with research. And they were like, can we video this so that we can get it into other hospitals and we can do other things with it? I said, absolutely, whatever. So they videoed the surgery where they break me open, and they share that for everybody. I think it's on YouTube for .edu if you want to watch it. It's pretty gnarly. But hopefully they hide some parts out because it's really cold in those surgery rooms, if you know. So, but when they, anyway, living off batteries and a heart pump for 3 years while I was waiting for a heart transplant. And the waiting, that's always the hardest part. And staying active with my kids, staying active with Shamrock, the company. And so, I was always, trying to lead from the front with them as well. And so I would always get out in the field, or I would always, run on calls. But sometimes, my health just wasn't there. So you literally have a cord hanging out of you, and you're carrying batteries around you. And so you can only go so far and last so long before you got to change those batteries out. Well, a lot of issues with those LVAD is you get an infection, and so that wasn't the issue with me on my LVAD. I didn't sit still long enough, or somehow tore the LVAD out of my heart, and so your body has 7 liters of blood in it, and I lost 3.5 liters of blood in my pleural sac that's holding my lungs. And so I had to go back in for another immediate surgery, and it ripped me open again that'd be the second time. And so when they rip you open, they're cutting you open, and they're taking your chest plate and everything, your ribs. And so you're wondering why your back hurts the next, all these times, and it's because the ribs are out of your rib heads and on your spine, everything. And in addition to all the nerve damage and everything else that happens from that. So that's the second time I got cut open. They was able to, Dr. Abeck, I was over at KU, they was able to sew the pump back in and save me. That time was scary. Every time was scary. But that time I got an infection from what I don't know. So then again, another time it happened. So from that infection, they had to go back in, cut it open, and put this wound vac type deal on me. So now they got this thoracotomy 2 times, and another and a wound vac living on me, just sucking this out of me, to the point where I finally got so sick from this that I'm in ICU, just waiting, and waiting for a heart for 3 years with your kids. Waiting, and now you're in an ICU during this time it was COVID, so it was very difficult, and no visitors, no nothing, and I'm on Facebook, on heart transplant groups, all this, and you're meeting other people, and I remember meeting this lady who, she was married and she had 2 kids, and I was the same situation, and she wasn't able to get her heart, and died, and so she wasn't there for her kids. And so my message, when I share this message, it's for all the people that aren't able to get up here and talk and share their stories. Yeah, I look healthy today right now, but what happened is, even the heart that I received was a valve was bad in it, the mitral valve, and so they tried to go in through the leg and these mitral clips in, and those didn't work for whatever reason. And so just 6 weeks ago, they had to go in and cut me open again. And so I'm still not even released to go to work or any of that stuff, working on cardio rehab. And so I've been cut open 6 times in 5 years. And so the nerve damage from that is out of this world. The amount of pills I take from that will fill you up. It's hard to eat. But I'm so blessed, and God's had so much favor on me by being able to keep me alive through this journey, and then being able to be here to share the story with all of you. I was 40 years old, perfect health, and then I got a sinus infection that went to my heart. And that that's not a wake-up call, right? Like your whole living, it's a new norm. And so, I got involved with Jackie. I put something on Facebook. Hey, it's been 18 months since I had my heart. I got the gift of life. Thank you. She reached out. She's like, we got to talk. Like, you've been quiet quitting on me. I'm like, what? She's like, quiet quitting. It's like, we're gonna get you out here. You got to share your story. So I'm grateful for Jackie that she was able to get me out here and able to share my story, because it is emotional, and it is to get up and talk to a lot of people and share about it. But the research that the American Heart Association has been able to do has been phenomenal. They used to have to go in, and still do every once in a while, but do your jugular so they can go in and check for rejection, or check for your pressures. Now, through a blood draw, they can go in and see if you're rejecting or not, just from a blood draw, which saves another lot of lives, because when they go in through your neck to do biopsies, the cord that's going in there is rubbing up on another valve that a lot of my other, they're not family. Okay, what's your number? I'm 103. So there's only people that had heart transplants that now have to get valve replacements. And so, but now with this new technology from the research that the money goes to support, they're not having to get valve replacements now. And so, there's a lot of good that this research goes to, the lives that it's able to keep alive. And I just go back to, the lady I met who didn't make it, and she's not there for her kids, and how lucky I am that I am here for my kids. And a lot of people look at me and say, hey, you look healthy, you can't even tell that you had a surgery or a heart transplant, or let alone been cut open 6 times in 5 years. And so it's been a wild ride, to say the least. To be here right now is a blessing. And the more that we can help with the American Heart Association, the more we can contribute, and the more we can donate for these auction items that we have going on here, the more it goes to. There's more people that die from heart related illnesses every year than all cancers combined. I don't know if you knew all that, but that's a big statement. And so I know I'm up here just talking about a heart transplant, but there's a lot of other heart ailments that research goes to. And the American Heart Association does a whole lot for in the region. I mean, for the hospitals, for the research, for getting funding approved for new technology that's out there. And you know, if I'm 40 and I can almost die from a sinus infection, you know, if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. And that's what we're trying to prevent. And so, you know, you always think it's the last person that you think it's going to happen to, or it can happen to your kids. It's a scary thing, you know. And you know, my mom's there. She's telling me, "Oh, you're fine. You need to go to the hospital. You need to go to the doctor." But you know, and then my sister's like, "It can't be a heart issue. It can't be." Well, it is. And so here I am. But you know, I'm a heart transplant on average lasts 12 years, and I've had my heart transplant 2 years and 2 days, and so that's 10 more years on average. Now that number could be skewed because usually the heart transplants are for older people, but the number, and it's lasting longer because of the technology from the research that we're able to get. So, you know, with that, I want to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle, see my grandkids, be able to do these things that I may or may not be able to do. It all depends. But from the medication that we take, that, you know, that also helps. So that the handfuls of pills that I'm taking, it's kind of known that if, you know, you had a heart transplant, you're taking all these pills for anti-rejection, so your body doesn't reject that heart, then all of a sudden your kidneys and your liver start going out. So it's really common, well, it's common knowledge if you're been geeked out and cut open 6 times in 5 years, not to everybody else, but that a lot of people have to go get their livers and kidneys replaced after having a heart transplant. So it's a real thing. So that's why being here to support the American Heart Association is so very important, and I'm so grateful for that. And I know I had this little list of things here. Just want to make sure I cover everything, because sometimes I get boards in front of me I get to talk to, and screens that show and everything of me walking by and half naked, laying in bed, tubes hanging out of me. But you guys spare you all that. So anyway, I think I got most all of it. But the main thing is, I want to thank the American Heart Association for everything they do. And that's why it's so important for Gary, not from Tulsa, from Tucson. He's our auctioneer for these 3 items over here, and maybe more. So we want you to be able to reach deep in your pockets and know what you're getting. You may be getting some of that, but more than that, it's what you're giving. It's what you're giving. You're giving life back to everybody, and all the research that you get from it is able to continue to go forward and go forward and go forward. And so that's the real gift. And so I want to thank you all for being here. And with that, you ready? Here you go.
I don't think